Hello, third grade. It's time for reading. And today in our reading books, we are going to read a story called An Instrument for God. And this is probably one of my most favorite stories. Of course, it is a true story and it's a missionary story. John and Isobel Kuhn and their daughter Catherine had waited about 10 years before they were able to go into the mountains of China and there teach and reach people for Christ. So we're going to read a portion of their story over the next 2 or 3 days. That's in our reading book. And I think you'll enjoy this. It is, like I said, a true story. And the Kuhns went to China to tell people about Jesus. They were in the mountains. So we will learn about the trail that they took to get to the Lisu people. Lisu is spelled Lisu, and that's the name of the group of people that they went to minister to. But first, I want to introduce you to some new words that you will see in our story, and I just want you to be familiar with those words so that way when you see them, you'll understand and it'll help you better understand the story too. So our first word is etched. The artist etched a picture of a rose into a piece of glass. So as you read this sentence, I'm sure you get the idea of a painting or drawing. So etched just basically means that they carved it into could be the side of a hill. Many people, of course, back in many years ago, they didn't have pencils and all of that, so they would carve um, different symbols and stuff into stone. And so that's pretty much what the word etched means. Next word, landscape. The landscape was made up of miles and miles of cornfields. So the landscape, if you look out your backyard, that is a landscape. It's a picture or a view of different types of land. Muleteer. This is not a word that we hear often, but it says the young muleteer led the pack mules up the mountain. So a muleteer is someone who takes care of mules. Landslide. The rocks sliding down the mountain warned us that a landslide was near. And if you've seen pictures on TV, especially out in California, is where I lived, if it rained a lot, we would have landslides. And basically, it was mud that would come down off the hills and usually end up in the road. So a landslide is basically rocks or mud, any type of terrain that falls down and usually comes from a mountain or a high hill. Deserted. No one had gone into the deserted house for years. Deserted just means empty, nothing's there, no one lives there, it's just totally empty. Now, I'm going to give you some questions to think about as you read the story, and then also there's going to be some think about it questions just to get your mind working. Then there's going to be about 5 questions for you to answer on notebook paper. So if you want to read the story first and then come back to these questions, that's fine. But you do not need to write the question down. All you need to write on your paper would be just the answer. And we'll keep those there and I'll collect them when we get back together. So think about it. Notice the chapter title. What kind of trail are the Kuhns following? Something for you to think about. Another thing to think about, what conditions of the Kuhn's journey kept Isobel praying? There was a type of there was something on their journey that kept Isobel a little nervous and kept her praying to God for safety and for them to make it. So think about that too. Now, these are the questions that I want you to answer. The directions say answer the following questions on notebook paper. You can write the answers only. You do not need to write the questions down. Number one, why is Isobel excited to be on this trail? Number two, what does John suggest when the muleteer insists that they go back? Number three, why does Isobel Kuhn take the baby organ to the Lai Sioux people? Number four, how does God remind Isobel not to worry? And then number five, describe the setting of this part of the story. So, just the part that we're reading right now. Describe what the setting is. And hopefully you remember we've talked about before many times what a setting is. It's the place, the surroundings, maybe the conditions, the weather outside, but what is the setting of this part of the story? Then after you have answered these 5 questions on notebook paper, put this notebook paper back in your reading folder because tomorrow when we do the next section, I'll have some more questions for you to answer and we can just add it to this paper here. All right, enjoy. An Instrument for God.